Hello everyone, how are you? Right, so what I'm going to talk about today is the tremolo sounds of alt-rock music, like 90s alt-rock music, particularly bands like Portishead, in fact mostly Portishead. When I first got into them, yeah, basically really around the time that the Dummy album came out. It's like sort of mid 90s. Some friends of mine are really into them because there's some tracks on there and they sound a lot like the music from the Harry Palmer, the Michael Caine films with about Harry Palmer, things like Ipcress File and Million Dollar, it's Billion Dollar Brain, not Million Dollar Brain, Billion Dollar Brain, Funeral in Berlin, stuff like that. And sort of James Bond films, like the Connery Bond films. What was that one with one of the Majesty's Secret Service? The one with George Lazenby, which is actually going up in estimation now. I'm sort of digressing a bit, but I get to the point. So I'm using this guitar. It's an Epiphone BB King. Now, one thing about the alternative music of the 90s was, and a lot of like the indie stuff as well, that it was played on like affordable gear. So this is the Epiphone in the BB King version. Obviously, if you've got a proper BB King, good for you. If you've got like a proper Gibson BB King, that's great. But it's just so like for a lot of it, it'll be on like the bridge setting. Now we're on clean at the moment. So we'll play an E minor, and I use the varitone and I put it on about setting number 2, so that gives it that sort of nasal sound. So that's part way there, right? Next thing I'm going to add is, well actually the compressor's already on, so but without the compressor it's a bit thin. This will sort of beef it up a bit. Yep. And then the key ingredient, I don't think you can see it, is this MXR Tremolo pedal. They're really good, these. I think I'm going to do a proper review of this pedal at some point. But it's got 6 sort of patches on it of different type of tremolo effects. And I was playing around with this at the weekend, which is one reason why I bought it, because I was thinking of like getting like an overdrive pedal, and I thought, actually, do I need another overdrive pedal? Don't answer that question. But then I thought, then I just stumbled on some of these sounds, and I thought, yeah, that's it. That's that 90s alt rock sound. So it's on the 6th setting here, which is it's written down as harm, which might say a lot, but it's written down as harm. But I think that kind of means harmonic. It's like a square wave sort of tremolo patch, but it gives you that sort of really sort of swimmy sort of. And the thing about this pedal is that it responds to your pick attack as well. Like if you're being subtle, it slows down. But if you pick harder, it speeds up. So it's kind of like that sort of like Leslie effect on it as well, which is great. And then I'm using an Electro-Harmonix Memory Boy as well. Now I did a review of this a few videos back, but that's kind of like a slapback effect. So that also responds to your pick attack. So you're getting, when you put it together, like that. So we can be subtle, or you can just kill it dead like that, like there. And you just get that slapback effect, like that, yeah. So that's, I'm actually not that familiar with like Portishead stuff. I'm not gonna do like a faithful sort of review of their stuff, but I think they're originally from like West Country. There is actually a place called Portishead. And it's near Bristol, and Bristol is like it's not a very nice place to live really. I lived there for about 5 months, of course, a few years back. I absolutely hated it. And I think it was Beth Gibbons herself, who was like the singer of Portishead, and she said it's a place where you go to die. It sort of says a lot. And then so that sort of like, I like a lot of the 90s stuff as well. You know, it's about like recessions and depressions and you know, that sort of thing. You know, like being long-term unemployed. You know, like having studied at university and whatnot. You know, you're looking forward to, you know, getting your first job, and then it turns out there isn't one, or there wasn't one, or you've got to settle for something else, or, you know, all those sorts of things. And then in settling for that something else, then you end up living this sort of inauthentic life kind of thing. So a lot of that kind of comes across in their music, you know, like it does in like a lot of the 90s music. And it's actually, only looking back, you know, there's so much stuff going on in the 90s, you know. Obviously, like, you know, like things like the grunge stuff, but also the Britpop stuff, you know, like the Oasis and the Blur stuff. There was like the acid jazz, there was the house, and there was some. I mean, this bands like Portishead, they're known as being like trip hop, where like they're using samples of other records. And the groove of those records is then used to, you know, create the structure of the sound. You know, I mean, like, you know, like a lot of hip hop artists might be sampling like James Brown. Well, Portishead were actually on the two songs I'm going to talk about. One, they sampled Lalo Schifrin. It's a piece of incidental music from Mission Impossible, and I may as well actually just get into that first one. I mean, that's the one that you're probably most familiar with. You will have heard the groove, I'm sure, but perhaps not known what it is. And it's like it's in C minor, or it sounds like it's in C minor. They might be down tuning anyway, but that's the one that goes. Got that wrong. Yeah, and that's actually sampled from a Lalo Schifrin piece called from Mission Impossible, called the Danube Incident, I believe it's called. But they've done some sort of like modulation on it. So, you know, the original piece has got that sort of like you know, like a lot of Lalo Schifrin stuff. It's got that sort of Latin funk feel about it. You know, like the Mission Impossible theme music. But you know, when Portishead got hold of it, they just changed it into that sort of. So it's kind of just like, it'd be like in flamenco. It's almost like a tientos or something, where it's just like you just seem to be stuck in the same loop over and over again, and it kind of adds to that sort of melancholy feel of the whole thing. And then go to F sharp minor. Yeah. But you see how that trem effect and the delay. You know, it sounds like that sort of 60s guitar. I mean, I can get that sound on here as well, which is like. So that's a bit more sort of like, you know, like Hank Marvin or somebody like that, you know. And even like with getting back to those Harry Palmer films, you know, that you know, the you know, Harry's theme from the Ipcress file. did that with that harmonics patch. See how it's sort of like a uni vibe suddenly. Yeah. So because like they made like a short, Portishead, they made a short film, cause like To Kill a Dead Man, I think that's what it's called, and they used footage of that in like the videos for that piece. It's actually called Sour Times. I didn't actually tell you this, the name of it, did I, until now? Yeah, so it's called Sour Times because it's just about basically, you know, those like how it was in the early to mid 90s. You know, it was in Britain. It was just wasn't a very nice place to live. So that's one. The other one is the one that's called Glory Box. I'm not sure if that's an innuendo. Probably is. Who were matron. Now, I was figuring it out before. I think that's in E. They're playing it in E flat, but I'm going to put it in E minor. Sorry, they're playing it in E flat minor, but I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it in E minor because it's just easier that way. And you can probably tune down or use a drop box or something like that just to drop it down a semitone. But that's the one that's that's actually it's taken from an Isaac Hayes piece called Rap 2, which has kind of got that same sort of melancholy figure over the minor chord, and it's Isaac Hayes sort of just, I don't know, he's like he's rapping over the top. It's still very effective as well, but again the way that Portishead sort of like they've just taken that and just turned it into this other thing. I mean, I don't know whether like I mean, you know, the same with like a lot of the grunge stuff. A lot of the grunge stuff was really miserable. So I don't know whether it was kind of like happens a lot of the time. You know, that in Britain we tend to like see America as being a lot more glamorous than it is over here sometimes. And you might think, you know, looking at England or Britain, you know, you might think, oh, that'd be, you know, the English countryside and, you know, and the Queen and all hoity-toity and you know, having tea and biscuits and you know, croquet on the lawn and cricket and oh, jolly good show, old boy, and all that. But then sometimes it's not like that at all. Sometimes you kind of think this place is a prison. You kind of think I don't really want to be here, you know. So so I think sometimes, you know, like sampling those songs, it's almost like you know, that some of the like the you know, the some like the American music, like some of the American hip hop stuff, it can seem to glamorise life, whereas you know, what some of that trip hop stuff was doing, and you could say the same about Massive Attack as well. I mean, one of their, you know, I think probably the best known Massive Attack song is that Unfinished Sympathy, which is based on Beethoven's Unfinished Symphony, but they put like the trip hop rhythm to it and the vocals, and it's really powerful. So I just kind of think it's sort of like, you know, like the way with like a lot of blues, it's, you know, like, you know, it's looking for a better time by trying to reaching into the past and whatever, and that sort of 60s feeling, you know, that sort of 60s sentiment, you know, like with those Michael Caine films, that, you know, we almost want to see, you know, like the 60s being that, you know, like the Cool Britannia thing, which is what Tony Blair was trying to do. You know, they create this whole image. I'm not going to get overly political, but he was trying to get that, you know, that thing about Cool Britannia being like almost like a parody of, like, you know, how it was in the 60s. You know, seeing like the 60s as this golden time. And of course, if you would have lived through the 60s, you might think, well, actually, no, it wasn't that great. You know, so but just taking some of those ideas, and then the fact that, you know, that we're going back to the blues, you know, using this baritone to get those sort of nasally B.B. King, Freddie King type sounds, that we can actually get some you know, real feeling out of the instrument. And even though, yeah, you know, Portishead were using the sampling and stuff, if we were to actually form, say, like a Portishead cover band, you know, we could contrast what Portishead were doing with the original songs that they were sampling with. You know, so we could be doing like extended jams and things, and really emoting, you know, and actually, you know, like feeding off each other, like you're supposed to do in a band. You know, like you know, like listening to what the vocal lines are, listening to like the rhythm, you know, like picking out on some of the harmonies and things, and then, you know, like if it suggests things like a Harry Palmer film or a James Bond film, then bringing some of that out in the music, you know. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble a bit, but I hope you got something out of that. You know, even the fact that just a simple E minor chord with a tremolo and delay, that you can get a lot out of that chord. You know, that you don't have to be doing sort of flashy sweep arpeggios and who do I sound like? Don't answer that question. Right, so anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please comment, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.